Symptoms of a bad oil pressure sensor. 1. Check engine light turn on. If the sending unit fails, it can cause the check engine light to come on and trigger error codes such as P0520, general sensor malfunction, P0522, low oil pressure, or P0523, high oil pressure. These codes can be helpful in diagnosing the issue, but it's important to have a professional mechanic inspect the vehicle to confirm the problem and make the necessary repairs. 2. Repeated blinking from the oil pressure light. Sometimes if the oil pressure sensor is not working properly, there will be blinking from the low oil light on the dashboard. This could cause a driver to panic because they'll believe that their oil levels are low, which would end up damaging the engine if it were true. In order to determine if this is a real warning or not, you should manually check your oil level to see if it is low. If it isn't, then it is likely you have a faulty oil pressure sensor and you need to replace it right away. 3. Wrong reading shows on the oil pressure gauge. If you are driving an older vehicle, then it likely has some type of mechanical gauge that calculates the oil pressure. Whenever the oil levels are normal but the gauge is showing 0, this means the oil pressure sensor needs to be replaced because it is faulty or there is some type of connection issue. If you are driving a modern vehicle, then your oil pressure gauge is probably electronic and transmits an electronic signal to get the reading. Whenever an oil pressure sensor is not working properly in a modern car, it will cause the gauge to have strange readings or it will sit on full or 0. Check the wiring to the sensor and replace as needed. Don't assume your engine oil level is low without physically checking the dipstick. Otherwise you may end up with too much oil in your engine, which can mean a completely different set of issues and include oil pressure that's too high. 4. Oil pressure light turns on. The best way to test if your sensor is bad is through the lights on the oil pressure gauge. If the low oil pressure warning light comes on when the engine's oil levels are normal and your engine is running smoothly and quietly, then you likely have a bad oil pressure sensor. Anytime this sensor is defective, it will give you false readings. If your oil levels are normal but you hear grinding, ticking, or other noises from your engine, you have an actual problem with oil pressure such as a faulty oil pump and the sensor is simply doing its job. Eventually, these readings will go way beyond the normal specifications, which will cause the warning light to turn on. At this point, you should replace your sensor in order to stay properly informed of your oil pressure level.